gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 26, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the big news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health, and the time is now to finally, as The Rock would say, Matt Shodell, welcome Alonzo Highsmith back to the U. Yes, folks, it's official. The paperwork is done. Alonzo will be coming back to Miami, and he will start next week on June the 1st, and he will be the general manager of football operations for Mario Cristobal. I mean, we've been talking about it on the show, on our site. God, Matt, well, for 6 months in the current incarnation, but this really started a couple years ago when Dan Lambert offered to pay Alonzo Highsmith's salary to Blake James and Manny Diaz, who were too scared to bring an alpha dude into the program to try to help them save their jobs, essentially. But look, the only thing that matters really now is that Alonzo's coming in to be Mario Cristobal's right-hand guy and take care of things and attack problems that, quite frankly, Mario's too busy recruiting and running the football team and program to handle. And, people say, what's Alonzo going to do? Well, there's a million things he's going to do. He's going to build bridges in the community. He's going to rebuild relationships with the local high school football coaches and youth league coaches and people out there in the community. He'll be working on that quite a bit. He's going to work with the personnel department in tying up the protocols at which they recruit players into the University of Miami. A part of the program that has failed to abysmal levels over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, all you got to do is look at the NFL draft performances. Look at the NFL draft performance this year. I mean, unfathomable how the best players in the Miami Hurricane program can't even get drafted. And people try to say there's not a personnel problem in Coral Gables. Yeah, there has been a big personnel problem in Coral Gables. And Mario Cristobal obviously has been attacking it since he got here in December. And now Zoe will become a part of that team, and he'll help in that area. Alonzo Highsmith brings instant respect. Okay, kids in the program will have an open door to his office to go discuss issues they might have, problems they might have, decisions they have to make regarding the National Football League and their pro prospects. Alonzo will have instant access. He has a Rolodex this deep that he can call on people in the National Football League and get updates on what the scouts in the NFL are thinking on players in the Miami program. He can be a sounding board for parents who are trying to guide their kids in those areas. On recruiting visits, parents and kids must make a stop in his office and build a relationship with Alonzo. I mean, I could go on and on and on, Matt Shodell, but I want to give you a chance to talk. You can tell I am fired up as hell about this move finally happening. I have been pounding the tables on this for a couple years, and it's finally done now. Zoe's back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, you won't take credit for it, but you knew this was coming before anybody else did. You were, you have all your sources. They're all like, listen, just you can hint at it, but don't tell anybody it's happening. And I think Miami wanted to have their own big splash, but this sort of news sort of leaks out. This is modern day.
Yeah, nothing survives.
The modern day. Why programs even try to keep things secret until it's signed and done? It's impossible. It can't be done.
Well, there's too many people running around who want to take credit for stories like this. Yeah. It's like, we've told our subscribers this was going to happen for many, many months. It was just a matter of all the hires needed to take place in the program so that roles of every. I mean, this is a huge football staff that Mario's put together. He has hired a lot of people, and you can't have people tripping over each other every day in the football office. You have to have clearly defined roles, clearly defined areas of responsibility, and you can't bring an alpha like Alonzo Highsmith into a disorganized situation. I mean, everybody's roles and what people are going to do needs to be clearly defined. They finally have reached that point. Alonzo needed to get through the NFL draft, and that's why you're seeing this deal come to a conclusion at this point in time.
Yeah, and what you said is right. He is what has been missing in the back offices. You know, fans. It's like when football players put in all their work in the offseason. Fans don't see it, but eventually you see it on the field. What the product is. Fans may never see what Alonzo Highsmith brings to the program, but what he will do in the back office is something they have not had, which is an NFL level talent scout who can be another set of eyes for the different position coaches who aren't, you know, now just looking at high school tape they're used to looking at, but now it's through the prism of the NFL. And this is a guy who can gain 40 pounds in this frame and be an NFL defensive end, even though he's playing safety right now. You know, this is the type of thing that he was trained to do, and that he's done successfully in the NFL. So it's pretty amazing he's coming back, and he's got a passion, obviously, for Miami, being from here and playing for the Hurricanes. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I can't, and you know, you guys know me. I just keep it real. This is as big a hire. When Ed Reed was hired, I was like, whatever. You know, fans were celebrating. I'm like, this is sort of a figurehead hire. You know, at that point, that if you remember,
And
it should have been Alonzo at that time. Ed Reed's fine. It's a nice little thing.
Ed Reed was Manny Diaz's answer to quiet people for him not choosing Alonzo. And the reason he didn't take Alonzo, Matt, he was scared to take Alonzo.
He wasn't scared to take Alonzo. He didn't want someone telling him what. He didn't want someone telling him what to do. Alonzo would have said, "You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You're not recruiting the right way," and made him work differently and probably a lot harder. I don't think that's going to be a problem with Mario.
Qualify that, Matt, because yes, that probably would have happened, but it would have happened because the program was being run in such a horrible fashion. That will not be the case now. Alonzo Highsmith isn't walking down to Mario's office and saying, "Mario, you're screwing everything up." No, that's not going to take place.
Right. Well, look, the head coach is always the boss at the end of the day, but Alonzo would have noticed the problems, known the problems, and it wouldn't have been a good fit. It wouldn't have worked out. And this is great. I mean, this is the culmination of everything. I just don't want the only caveat I have is I hope fans understand this is a process. It doesn't mean that Alonzo Smith is going to be running the ball for Miami and have 20 carries for 180 yards and 4 touchdowns in game 1, which you probably could against that first opponent. What it means is within the next 2 to 5 years, he will help Mario get this roster completely reshaped. I think he's going to talk Mario out of taking a lot of these mid-level transfers in the future, because I think Alonzo is smart enough, like Matt Shodell, to realize the path to a national championship is not UAB linebackers who are trying to make defensive tackles, but top-level recruits who within maybe the freshman year or certainly by second to third year are going to just be demolishing opponents. That's the formula of success. That's, I think, going to be something that Alonzo, Mario, and the rest of the staff is going to get done. I mean, I'm super excited. I just wish we could skip 2022 because, look, they could win 10 games this year. They're not winning the national championship this year. But I think 2024, I've got 2024 circled, Gary. I'm going to try to not eat too many cookies and cake, get my cholesterol down to make sure I survive until 2024.
Survive till 2024.
I think that's the year. That's the year. Listen, you can circle FSU every year as the game, the rivalry game. I'm circling 2024 as the year that I'm picking for Miami to not just compete for a national title, but have a chance to win a national title. I don't know if does Vegas take future bets on 2024 and 2025? Because I want to put a couple down right now.
I'm just happy for the fans. I want to see the fans get their program back. That's all we care about. I mean, it's like, we have all been dealing with this mess for 2 decades now, and it has been proven through history that when the right people are in the building in Coral Gables, Miami wins at the highest level, and I think they just are continuing to move in that direction. Mad compliments to Mario for pulling the staff together, pulling the support staff together, for having the I don't know if fortitude's the right word, but to get this deal,
Foresight.
Yeah, all right, foresight. That's a good word.
I don't know. I don't know what you're
To
looking
get
for.
this deal done with Alonso and bring him in, and I think they're going to work spectacularly together. And you mentioned the Ed Reed deal. The Ed Reed deal impacted this in a goofy kind of way, Matt, because they're paying Ed Reed a lot of money, and he came into the program with no job definition. Like, it's just like Ed Reed is free to just come whenever whenever he wants. He's not, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, whatever. And it's nothing. I mean, this is no Ed Reed's doing something wrong. It's like nobody hired him with clear job definition. It was just a PR move that absolutely backfired because both Blake and Manny got run out of town anyway. And Ed Reed can be a huge asset to this program, just like Alonso. Just like Jason Taylor and these guys, if he's making a commitment to be there and have that type of influence. But if you're running the university and you're running the athletic department and you're Mario Cristobal running the football program, the last thing that you could afford to do is create this big money job, which Alonso makes a lot of money. He's very experienced. He's been in the NFL 20 plus years, has a lot of value to NFL teams. He commands a big salary. The last thing you needed was a guy like this coming into the program without a defined job. And Mario could not define that job until everybody else was hired. That's why Alonso is here at the end. And mad congratulations to Miami, mad congratulations to Mario, and mad congratulations to Alonzo Highsmith at this stage of his career, that everybody's coming together, united behind one goal. That's to get the Miami Hurricanes back at the top of college football, and it's going to be exciting to cover it. All right, Matt, let me transition to another story that we have on the website today, because it's something I really, really, really wanted to talk about that I think is just a glowing example of the absolute relentlessness of how Mario Cristobal recruits. And that is the group of American Heritage kids. And everybody knows the history of Miami's recruiting at American Heritage going back several years. It has not gone well at that school. But Cristobal clearly determined to change that. And he's not allowing anything to get in his way or slow him down. And, you've got Damari Brown there, who's looking at a whole bunch of different schools. Brandon Innes, who's had heavy flirtation with USC, Ohio State, and others. And I would say neither one of those has gone great for Miami to this point. Yet here you are. It's Wednesday afternoon yesterday, and who takes a trip down to the Miami campus but Brandon Innes and Damari Brown? And that inspired some digging into the seriousness of their recruitment, and a bunch of phone calls were made. And Matt, why don't you sum up for us your take on where things stand with those two coming off those visits yesterday?
Well, I mean, first let's talk about American Heritage for a little bit, because they have a new head coach, and obviously Coach Smith, and we have a nice story with him, along with two other coaches talking about where these 4 high priority Miami targets stand out of American Heritage. But something else, I was talking to Coach Smith for a while. I've talked to him before, and on sort of the view of American Heritage, and this is interesting. This is a quote from Coach Smith. He said, the relationships are starting to form again. You can see the excitement and relationships starting to form again, whereas before it was, quote, how are you guys coming up here from Miami, not knowing this kid and that kid, but Alabama and Auburn come in and know all about that kid. But that's indicative of what's happened and gone wrong at American Heritage. And I can guarantee you that if the St. Thomas coaches were being as forthcoming as the Heritage coaches, they'd probably say the same thing, that these Miami coaches,
no doubt,
under the past administrations, were showing up just with sort of no knowledge of the future stars coming out of that program. Whereas an Alabama coach shows up and has done his homework and seen all the video of every top kid at that school and asks about this kid and that kid and knows everything. When it, because coaches will mention to me some kids, but if you're a recruiter, it's your job. It's your job. Just like I know every single player on the Miami Hurricanes roster, and I could tell you everything about every single one of them. There's not a single kid on the Hurricanes roster right now you can ask me his name, and I would say, oh, who's that? Or, oh, tell me about his background, because I know it. And as a recruiter, when you're covering American Heritage in St. Thomas Aquinas, you better darn well know every single returning starter and every single kid who's competing to start at these top programs. And when Miami coaches show up and don't know that, and Alabama and Ohio State and other coaches from out of the state who aren't even here know these kids and know the names, you want to impress a high school coach who's in the ear of all these kids, like you should know who they are. That's step one. So it's a little scary that at the top program, arguably within a 30-mile radius from Miami, apologies to St. Thomas. I did talk to Twan Russell yesterday also, so I'll put you right there, Twan, okay? St. Thomas and Plantation American Heritage. That's a big deal. That's inexcusable in my opinion. So the fact that now the coach at American Heritage, and by the way, he's the first-year head coach. He's been there forever. The fact that he says it's different now. When they come, they know our players. When they come, they have that relationship already in place because they're texting our kids. They're getting calls from our kids, as allowed through the rules. It's a big difference. So that's not what you asked me about, but I think that's important to point out. And now as it pertains to the four, we did a story, Brandon Innes and Damari Brown came on a visit yesterday, and Mark Fletcher was supposed to come with his dad, from what I was told from the Heritage coaches, but then Mark texted me he didn't make it. So whatever, Mark's sort of in the same boat as that poor guy who's a Clemson commit right now, Nathaniel Joseph, who's not allowed to take any visits, yep. So I don't know, if Mark has to sneak in the back door or whatever and stay for 5 minutes and run out with a disguise and is afraid to tell anybody he's going.
Why do they have to commit? Why did they even have to commit so quickly? I don't understand.
I understand. You don't understand?
Mark Fletcher and Nathaniel Joseph can go anywhere they want. They were under no pressure to commit to anybody. That
I agree with. But if a program like Ohio State and a kid thinks he knows he wants to go there, and they're taking one running back, and they say, dude, you're a running back, but if you can't tell me you're coming now, we've got plan 1B, and we're going to have to commit to him. It's a tough situation for a 17-year-old to be in if he really thinks that's where he wants to go. But then as time goes on and other schools keep recruiting him, and as one coach told me yesterday from Heritage, they said when one of their kids commits, the other schools recruit that kid even harder, is what he said. So when one of these kids commits and these other schools recruit him harder, it makes you think twice. And especially when Mark Fletcher's dad is a big Miami Hurricanes fan, and dad's telling Mark, I don't understand why you can't just enjoy yourself and take some visits. What's the big deal? This is your recruitment. You're going to Ohio State, but they should understand, just let you go around and have some fun and trust you. It's sort of like you don't let your girlfriend out of the house. I mean, who asks someone to be their girlfriend and then says, okay, now you can't leave the house because you're my girlfriend? It just doesn't make any sense. But that's what Ohio State's doing. That's what Clemson's doing. I don't want my girlfriend leaving the house, but I'm not a major college program. So, and I have a wife, not a girlfriend. So I don't have if my wife's watching, I do not have a girlfriend. I want to be very clear. I have one wife, nothing else. And she's not trapped in the house. I do allow her to take official visits elsewhere to work, and that's it. Working home, I hope.
All right. Well, the bottom line of all this, before we let Matt get off on too ridiculous of a tangent with all kinds of nonsense, is that the recruiting effort is relentless, and it is extending right now to these kids at American Heritage, where Miami's coming from behind. No argument there whatsoever. But there is a determination to change that, and we'll see how that evolves in the coming days and weeks. But getting 2 or maybe 3 of those guys onto campus yesterday was a very, very, very big deal. And so we got a little update on that on the website today. All right, we got a few other things to talk about. But first, let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have talked to Stacey, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to Stacey. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
All right, Matt. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the recruitment of five-star defensive end Jaden Wayne, because we've had a lot of communication, I would say, with Jaden. I mean, he's been to Miami a few times already. He will be official visiting the Hurricanes June the 17th. He's coming down with his entire family. And this is a kid that's very much in demand for obvious reasons. He is a five-star because he deserves to be a five-star. And the other schools he's considering right now are Georgia, LSU, and Oregon, in addition to Miami. And, reading the tea leaves, which we do a lot, we can usually tell when kids are not genuinely interested in Miami. I think you would agree that based on our interactions with Jaden Wayne, that he clearly is interested in Miami. I mean, he'll message us when we're even not reaching out to him. There's just an ongoing flow of communication and contact with Jaden Wayne that would suggest to us that this is a kid that's really interested in Miami. So he'll be here on the 17th. He's hearing from multiple coaches every single day without exception. Again, you're seeing the pattern, relentless recruiting. Matt, would you agree with my summation that there's a real chance for Miami with Jaden Wayne?
Well, I never agree with you, period, about anything. So I'll say,
Here we go.
Yeah, there's a real chance. It's his third visit. Anytime somebody from out of state comes down unofficially more than once, it's a really good sign. So he's come down twice. He came down for Paradise Camp. I don't know why he bothered. Mario Cristobal wasn't hired yet, but for some reason he just wanted to see the campus and all that stuff. And then he was back for the Elite Prospect Day. And now he'll be back for an official visit. He may or may not decide before his season. I think he wants to. If he sees the program that he falls in love with, that's what he'll do. The big thing here, and we're going to find out very quickly, is how Mario Cristobal is as a closer, because he's competing against the top programs that these previous coaches at Miami were sort of reticent to try and do. So, it's a complicated field now because of NIL. If it was just pure recruiting and there was no NIL involved, I'd feel a lot better about a lot of these things. And for those fans out there that want NIL to help Miami, you better go buy some LifeWallet stock and keep it afloat, because that's really what a lot of these recruits, for better or for worse, are looking at now, in addition to who can develop me, which coach do I like the most, where do I feel most comfortable. If there's a 1A and 1B, just like on a coach's board, for a recruit, if Miami's 1A for Jaden Wayne and some other schools 1B, and school 1B that's a little behind Miami has a better financial package for him that they're promising him illegally, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's going to be an issue with every recruit right up until they sign. I wish that the NCAA would institute a 365-day-a-year signing period, because this whole middle December, then February, why not just let them sign whenever they want? Let's get it over with. This whole thing is so ridiculous. Why give?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Why give other programs a chance to come in and just offer money? It's not what the NCAA is about.
Right.
So do.
I want to go to Miami. Send them the letter of intent. He signs the letter of intent. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah. Then we could have soft signings, hard commit signings. No, I mean, honestly, if I was the NCAA, I would do with what's the harm for the student athlete if he wants to sign somewhere? I mean, if he knows where he wants to go and he wants to be done with the process, let him sign. God forbid it's not December whatever or February whatever. This whole system is so screwed up with what they did now. It worked fine before, but now that money's involved illegally, but legally once they sign, just freaking let the kid sign, man. Let's get this over with. I'm so over recruits not picking the school that recruited them the hardest, not picking the school they really want to go to, just because there's going to be some sort of promise at the end of the rainbow from some agent who's buddies with your uncle's nephew. Your uncle's nephew would be you. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
All right. So listen, Jaden Wayne is very much in the picture for Miami, and that should come into clearer focus in the middle of next month after his visit. All right, another story on the website today involves four-star Massachusetts standout. He's from Cambridge, good zip code, nice neighborhood, not right over by Harvard there. His name is Ronan Hannafin, and Charlie Strong evaluated him this spring. He has a Miami offer. He's scheduled official visits to Notre Dame and Clemson, so that gives you an idea of the quality of the recruit. And I think, Matt, you would agree that a Miami official visit is looking very likely.
Yeah, he likes Miami a lot. He's an interesting kid or recruit. I can't call them kids, even though I'm so old. Apparently, people get very upset. He's an interesting recruit, simply because he's a lacrosse player who's now become a football player. So we'll see what happens. I'm not 100% sure he will take an official to Miami. I think it's really the ball's honestly in Miami's court for if that'll be a fifth official for him, and we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, morning. The Miami baseball effort at the ACC tournament is in a little bit of disarray this morning. The Canes suffered a tough defeat last night to NC State, which has now just suddenly eliminated them from winning their pool because the Wolfpack are 2-0 in that pool, and Miami still has to play Wake Forest, but there's no way for Miami to overtake NC State. So, Matt, just a continuation of just a struggling team that is not heading into this postseason run in the right state.
Yeah, and on top of it, they're facing next up is Wake Forest has a pitcher of the year who they didn't use in game one, the ACC pitcher of the year. And if Miami goes 0-2, I don't think they are a super regional. They're going to be a regional host. I don't think they would be a super regional host because they'll have lost 6 of the last 8 games if my horrible math.
It's everything in jeopardy.
Yeah, not good.
Everything in jeopardy. So kind of tough times right now for Canes baseball. We'll see what happens moving forward, but you can read about last night's game on the website. So that's going to do it today for Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you as always for joining us and starting your day with us. Have a great day, and we'll see everybody next time. Goodbye, everybody.